I want to pull up this tweet thread from Zach Seward, who is I believe he's the editor-in-chief at Quartz, who posted one of the most deceptive, falsely framed articles I've ever seen.
Such a lie.
It's a really good example of the problems we face.
Yes.
Before I start this by criticizing the mainstream media for lying to you, I want to point out that there absolutely are conspiracy theorists and lunatics and cult members on the right. They exist, but they're not VC funded. They don't have investors who are giving them all of this money. There are some small right-wing outlets, conservative outlets that do get funding, but they're not nearly as bad as this. They wrote a story. We ordered the same gun used in Uvalde. Here's how easy it was. He says it was just like ordering groceries. Click, checkout, done. He's getting roasted for this.
Seriously.
Because while in the piece it does mention you have to go through a background check and all that stuff, the way they frame it is incredible. Take a look at this. He says, at no time were we asked for proof of age or of a clean criminal record, both of which are legally required to buy a firearm. That will happen when we pick up the gun at our local licensed dealer.
That's right.
The headline is everything. Here's how easy it was. They're trying to convince you. Not only that, but he goes on to say it was an assault rifle. He says, some people don't know how easy it is to go online and buy an assault rifle. He didn't buy one, though. He did not buy an assault rifle. It's just a misrepresentation. And this is what leads people who are traditional liberal or trusting of the news into believing wrong information.
So what this tells me is he's not actually interested in having a thoughtful conversation. It's about an agenda, right? So very clearly this is about creating this drumbeat, this hysteria to ban not just this gun, but really all guns, right? So it's a war then on guns. And if in fact that's the idea, then the question becomes, particularly from that outlet that we know is a lefty outlet, why do they want to remove all guns? Is it really just about trying to save the kids in school? I'm not so sure that's true. I think most people would say there's probably another agenda here. So that kind of headline, by the way, we know that Americans rarely read down into an article. I think that it's around 60 or 70% of people only read the headline. And then the remainder of that is only the first paragraph. So I think 3 or 5% of people actually read the whole story. So these folks know that.
I want to give a shout out to a journalist. This is a story I covered just almost 3 years ago.
I remember this. From
Business Insider. This journalist wrote, I tried to buy a gun at Walmart twice and roadblocks left me empty-handed both times. This was actually a good story. And I give credit to this journalist. She had misconceptions about what buying a gun was like. She went to a Walmart and said, I'm going to see what happens. And when she got roadblocked, she wrote that she was.
Good for her.
This is like one of the biggest segments I've ever done. It's got 2.7 million views. I'm surprised, but... You know, I didn't criticize her and mock her. I was like, this is great. A reporter actually decided to investigate what it's like to get guns because they weren't familiar with it. And they were honest with their audience about not being able to buy one. That's the reality.
Yeah. Well, the shocking thing about Quartz is that there are 24 outlets just like that, right? Between Quartz and Axios and Mother Jones and you just go on and on and on. And they're all the same, and they're all funded by basically the same venture capitalist, lefty ideologue billionaires. They all have the same agenda. They're all intermarried, right? Which is weird. They all know each other, kind of like the one conspiracy, not conspiracy. The one thought as who the leaker is of the Supreme Court document when went through of who's married to who and who was a bridesmaid at whose wedding. They all know each other.
It's a caste system.
There's no one on there are very few outlets on the right of this side. There are a couple, right? We know them. The Beacon, the Daily Caller, they're great publications, but they're paltry in number compared to the left.
And you look at the funding that goes into these left-wing Democrat or whatever publications, hundreds of millions of dollars. And then you look at right-wing publications who sometimes get some funding, but not really.
Yeah.